Hi everyone, I'm Jodi. Welcome back to my channel. I'm really glad that you're here today. Today's video is a great fun one for Friday Face Off. We are putting two of the most highly coveted, top-rated drugstore concealers to the test. So if you have tried to decide, do I really want to try that Age Rewind by Maybelline or that e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer? Both are highly rated for those of us with more mature skin. They're under $10 each. So which one do you choose? And if drugstore concealer isn't your thing, I totally get it. I will have a special concealer Friday Face Off, won't be called Friday, and we're gonna take the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer up against Hourglass's Airbrush Vanish. I'm excited to see how these two hold up as well. I have no idea how these two are gonna wear against each other, so I'm really excited about that. So whether you're on the market for a drugstore concealer or just a concealer that works well for your skin, at the end of this video and the end of the video between these two, you should have a good idea of which concealer will work best for you. In terms of today's review between Maybelline and e.l.f., I've had both of these concealers on for about 2 hours. Can you tell which side was which? Stick with me because I'm going to get into all of it, and by the end of this video, you'll have a good idea where you want to spend your money. Now, as a reminder, I am more combination to dry skin. Regardless if you have dry skin, oily skin, or combination skin, you always want to start this part of your makeup routine really moisturizing and hydrating underneath the eyes. So I'm going to do that now by just taking a little bit of my moisturizer. This is the Hada Labo, and I'm just going to take a little bit from the lid and I'm going to apply it, where's my things? Underneath my eyes so that they are really, really hydrated. And I want to let that sit for probably 3 to 4 minutes. If not longer. And typically if I was doing this, I would go brush my teeth and do some of the other put on my second or third coat of mascara and really let that moisture absorb underneath my eyes. Then we're gonna apply any color corrector, then you would go to your concealer. Now, because not everybody uses color corrector, we're gonna go right into the concealer once this moisturizer really sets up. And then today we will set this with a setting powder, then we'll do an 8-hour check-in. Then tomorrow we're going to do the same thing without a setting powder and again do an 8-hour check-in just to see how the two wear with or without a setting powder so that you can see which application works best for you. Introducing these two products, the Age Rewind Eraser by Maybelline. Now know that this has come in a new package now. The old package, this eraser was in more of a red and a black. Also on one side it says multi-use concealer and on the other side it says corrector multi-use, and that differs just by where this is shipped. The product inside is still the same. The Maybelline Eraser comes in 18 shades. For 0.2 ounces, it sells for $10.99. It's full coverage, it's satin finish, and it offers 12-hour moisturizing wear. It has over 10,000 4.5 star reviews. Now, a lot of what you see about this on the reviews is very good coverage, somewhat drying. Some people say it's not drying at all. Very easy to blend and lasts all day. It also says it's suitable for sensitive skin, and the marketing says that it is crease resistant coverage. I know that is something that's important to all of us, so we are going to definitely be looking for that and check in and see how crease resistant it is after 8 hours. The Maybelline Eraser does come with this foam tip applicator. I don't like it because I feel like this is really hard to keep it clean. If you guys saw my recent video on bacteria and how products can expire, you saw I just threw this whole thing away because it was old and I thought this has got to be full of bacteria because we're adding warmth, moisture, and then we're closing the lid and just letting bacteria run amok. So I take this off. You can take it off, wash it, and put it back on. I don't really think it's necessary to have it all, so I'm just gonna move right along without it. Now, I do like to apply my concealer with a little bit of a brush, found one right here, with a synthetic brush, and I'm just gonna take this up through the top, and even without that little sponge, it's gonna come up right through the top like that. If you use this and you have the old packaging, you can go to the Maybelline.com website and look up what the new number is for the color that you used to wear. For example, my old one was fair, and now this is 110. They made it very easy to bridge your old color with the new color. All right, and for this, I'm just gonna put a few dots because I do have some discoloration and I wanna just let that sit for a minute before we blend it. I like to blend my concealer with just my finger because I feel like that warmth from my skin helps to move the concealer really where I want it and yet also allows me to push it into fill the potholes, if you will. So I'm gonna do that, and I will do it consistently on both sides. It does have good coverage. You can kind of see the difference between where I've applied it and this side where I haven't yet. I think I will probably need just a little bit more. I could always use a little color corrector if I needed to, but by and large, it's a very creamy formula, very easy to move. It doesn't dry real quick so that you have to move it. You know, some concealers, you have to move them really quickly, or they're hard to move. That's not the case with this. It's a very, very creamy formula. I almost feel like it's gonna be too creamy, but maybe once we set it with a little bit of powder, it's gonna be fine. Many of the reviews say that this lasts a long time, and that I've seen reviews for a woman that was 73. She said she loves it. It's not a drying formula for her skin. So that was, I think, probably why it's rated so high. And $10.99, you gotta kinda love that price. I mean, it definitely has nice coverage. You can tell the difference between the two eyes. This one still has some purple under it. This one doesn't. So it definitely offers good coverage. Now today we're going to use a setting powder, and before we apply any setting powder, you want to press in that concealer. Make sure that you have the look that you're happy with in terms of creasing, filling in fine lines and wrinkles before you move on to the setting powder. If you wear glasses, you want to always use a setting powder, whether you have oily skin, dry skin, and then put that setting powder right here, right around your rims if you have dry skin. If you have oily skin, you can be a little bit more freeing with your powder, but dry skin with glasses right along where your rims are going to sit, and that will help keep your glasses from sliding. I like the way that looks, so we are ready to set it. I'm gonna reach for the RCMA setting powder. This is a non-color translucent setting powder, very, very finely milled. The reason I'm gonna use this one is because this is under $10, and I don't wanna test a less expensive concealer only to find that you have to have a really expensive powder to make it work. I wanna make sure that if we have a cost-effective concealer, can you use a cost-effective powder on it as well, so that the whole thing between concealer and powder, you're into it under $20. And that's the case with this. This has been used on Hollywood sets for years. It's an old standard. Just like the Ben Nye banana powder, this has that type of longevity reputation. It's a gold standard. I like to just take a little bit in the lid, and then I'll just take a medium tapered fluffy brush, get off any of the excess. And the reason I like these taper brushes is because it really allows you to get into the contour of your eye just ever so lightly. And again, if you wear glasses, make sure you pay special attention to where those rims are gonna sit, right through there, and just set it very lightly. And then I like to go in and take off all the powder and just dust it. We're not trying to bake for any reason at all in more mature skin. And there you have it. I think that looks pretty nice. We'll see how it wears throughout the day and if it truly is crease resistant. We'll see. Now I do like the difference between where we've applied it and this side, so let's move over to the e.l.f. and see how it performs. If you're interested in purchasing the e.l.f. concealer, you want to make sure that you're looking for the right one. There are two different e.l.f. concealers. The one with the black lid is 16-hour matte. The one with the white lid is hydrating satin finish all day wear. So make sure that you're getting the right one. Both are very highly rated. This one states very good coverage, lasts a long time, but can be a little drying. So that's why I opted to test this one. Much more favorable for those of us with more mature eyes, more dry skin. The e.l.f. Hydrating Concealer comes in 25 shades, sells for $7, and is 0.203 ounces. Again, it's a full coverage, satin finish, all day wear, and says it's good for all skin types. It has over 2,500 reviews, 4.5 stars. It also is vegan and cruelty free, which makes me love it a little bit more than the other one, but I'm gonna try to stay very neutral. And I'm Switzerland today. I'm gonna be Switzerland. One of the things that makes this concealer hydrating is that it has rose flower water in it. So that's supposed to help with the hydration for the duration of your day. Maybelline marketing offers 12-hour moisturize wear. The e.l.f. just says that it is long wear and it's hydrating. So we'll see what that means. The e.l.f. comes on a doe foot applicator, and I like to just, again, take it from my brush like I did. We're gonna close this up so we can keep it ready for tomorrow. It does seem like this one dries just a little bit more. I'm gonna go ahead and press this in because it's been about the same amount of time. This one's very easy to blend and move around. These are both water-based concealers, like I said, so you wanna apply these on top of a water-based foundation or tinted moisturizer if you wear one. With one coat, it feels like this one's almost at the right coverage as the Maybelline, but I do want to go in for a second coat just to cover up a little bit more of that purple area. So we're just gonna push that in really well. It looks beautiful, you guys. I hope it wears as well as I'm expecting it to, because that would be a really nice, cost-effective alternative. Same thing, we're just gonna add a little bit of powder and press it in. The consistency of the formula of both of these were very, very similar. Creamy, easy to use, both offering full coverage. They don't really look too satiny, but I did finish them with a setting powder, so I'm happy with that. I think the coverage is great, and we're gonna see how crease resistance, finger crossed, that they are. Here we are for our end of the day check-in. I know I committed to 8 hours. I hope you guys will forgive me. It's been 7.5. But that's been a lot of work in that 7.5, so it feels like more like 10. So just bear with me on that last 30 minutes. It felt like eternity. So let's see how these are holding up. I have been outside, I've been editing, I was out in the garage doing some work on the snowmobile, so I've put these concealers through the test. So let's zoom you in and see how they held up for the majority of the day. Remember that the Maybelline says it is 12-hour moisturized wear, and the e.l.f. states all day wear. So they're not committing to a number. In terms of full coverage, they have both maintained pretty much their full coverage throughout the day. They start out being satin, both of them, but when you put a little bit of that powder on it, the setting powder, it did mattify it. I think they're still fairly matte. In terms of the crease resistance, you know, look, I'm not looking for a miracle, whether it's $7 or $507. These aren't lasers. I didn't expect them to not crease. I mean, it's gravity. There's product that sits on top of a crevice. Of course, the product's gonna fall and settle into fine lines and wrinkles. I don't think that it did it excessively. I've read reviews on other concealers that said that they felt like it showed more wrinkles than the person had before the concealer. That was not a comment on either one of these, and I don't see that the case. I don't see any additional creasing or wrinkling. I do feel like the Maybelline side looks a little drier. Neither of them feel dry, but this one, just like I don't normally have crow's feet through here, I'm more wrinkly under my eyes, and I do feel like there is some wrinkling there perhaps that I don't see on the e.l.f. side. So what do you guys think? I think that my skin does not feel dry. They still look hydrated on both sides. If any, I'd say maybe there's some gathering on the Maybelline side. If you pull down the eyes and look at the wrinkles that way, you can see a little bit of the settling into the Maybelline side. I don't really see the settling so much into the e.l.f. side. I think they've both held up well. I would have liked to have seen them keep their full coverage a little bit longer. I do feel like they've worn. Not bad for 7.5 hours. Let's see what's next. So we are back for our second wear test. Today is going to be a concealer with no powder for those of you that might be really dry skinned and don't want to apply a powder. And can I just say, I love this triple barrel curling iron, you guys. I've reviewed it before. I love that thing. I mean, it turns day 3 hair into like a whole new experience. I just love it. So we're gonna start like we did yesterday with some moisturizer, and I'm just gonna get under my eyes nice and moisturized. And I had some brownies yesterday, so the eyes are a little purpley today. So we're gonna see how well these concealers really do cover. I'd like to say I had brownies yesterday just for the betterment of this experiment. Can I use that as an excuse? Yeah, I probably would have had brownies anyway, if I'm being honest. In the name of science and research, I must eat a half a pan of brownies. No, it really wasn't a half a pound. All right, so while we let that just moisture, hydrate under my eyes. You guys, have you been watching any of the Alex Murdaugh trial that's going on? I am normally not a true crime docuseries type person. My husband loves them. I've been watching it through the Emily D. Baker YouTube. I'll link her down below if you guys are interested. She's a former prosecuting attorney out of LA County, but now she lives in Nashville. She offers commentary while the trial is also being streamed on her YouTube channel. If you don't like the F word, then you may want to just watch it on another channel. She does use the F word and says that, hey, I use the F word, and lots of other words, but she's hysterical. But more importantly, it's fascinating, this trial, how these experts know just where the position of the people were and the guns and how many guns were there, and like I'm spending a lot of time having to turn that off at night because I'm fascinated by it. So I'll link down below if you guys have not checked it out and you like true crime. And what I love about her YouTube channel is that she streams the trial live, so you can go back and watch from day 1, day 2, day 3, and you feel like you have to keep watching because she streams it live, but you can always go back to it. So you can turn it off and walk away if you need to, but if you like true crime, I highly recommend checking that out. All right, we're gonna just put that on this side and let it set up for a second. And now we will grab some of the e.l.f. and put it on the other side, and we're gonna see how these wear without powder. Looks to be about the same amount, doesn't it? If not, my eyes will be a little bit off all day. Let that one set up while we press this one in. I know some of you like to use a damp beauty sponge to put on your concealer, so we'll do that too, just to see if that makes any bit of a difference. I'd say the Maybelline covered up my brownie guilt from yesterday. Yesterday we built it up a little bit. I don't think we need to do that so much today. I think one coat on each side is gonna be enough. Now Maybelline says it leaves a radiant finish. e.l.f. says it leaves a satin finish. We're not gonna set them with a setting powder today. I don't know that I see radiant or satin. I guess I do. Yeah, there's a little bit of a shine through there. They're not matte for sure. So if you like more of a radiant or a satin finish, without a powder, I think these do both deliver on that promise as well. So I'll see you guys in a few hours. Well, I'm back to do the final review at the 9.5 hour mark of both of these concealers. I have to say that without setting them with a setting powder, I do feel like they both wore off a little bit faster. And I started to see that at about the 5 to 6 hour mark. Neither of them set into fine lines and wrinkles. And I don't believe that either one of them made me have the appearance of more wrinkles or fine lines, with the exception of the Maybelline yesterday when we set it with powder. If you had oily skin, you would definitely want to set these with a little bit of setting powder just to really lock it in place. If you have dry skin, I would still say that either of these would be a pretty safe bet for you. You just want to really make sure that you're hydrating underneath the concealer first. Use any color corrector if you need to, and then use a thin coat of this concealer just to brighten up that area, and then do a very light dusting of setting powder. You're also going to want to make sure that you put a little bit of powder, as I mentioned, underneath your glasses if you wear glasses, where your rims sit right through here, as well as on the bridge of your nose. In terms of hydration, the rose flower water that comes in the e.l.f., it's the second to last ingredient. So while it is in there, I'm not sure you're gonna get much benefit from it. That being said, my skin does not look dry underneath my eyes from the use of either one of these. So if I had to say which one of these would I choose in a Friday face-off, I'm gonna have to go with e.l.f. And the reason is because I don't feel like when I wore it with powder, and I would suggest you wear it with a little bit of a light powder, I didn't feel like I got more wrinkles, more aging appearance underneath my eyes. I also really love the fact that it's vegan and cruelty-free. So the winner today is this e.l.f. I hope this was helpful. If so, please give it a thumbs up, like it, and share it with anybody that you think might also enjoy this Friday face-off or any others. And if you're looking for a good drugstore foundation that's water-based to pair up with either one of these two concealers, I'll see you over here at this next video where I'll show you which one's a good purchase. See you next time. Bye-bye.